On panel 2 tonight, Siddharth Singh of the BJP, Sohail Seth represents the point of view of Corporate India, Managing Partner of Councilage, Majid Memon of the NCP, Prasenjit Bose and Sanjay Jha is with us. Let's go to Sohail first. Sohail, you know, the charge that the Congress party is making privately, and I know ministers are not saying it, but privately they are saying this, that Corporate India is complaining too much. You know, they are saying that Corporate India sets the rules, we don't set the rules, they play by the rules. They get things done in the way that they want, and then they complain if the CBI comes after them. Bottom line, this is the argument which I'm hearing, that Corporate India has no right to complain in the way that it is doing right now if the CBI is doing its job. Sohail, why don't you open this part of the debate?
I think it's brilliant because I've always entrusted the Congress party with wisdom, sagacity and great intellect. You have fine spokesmen of their parties appearing on the idiot box every evening, espousing wisdom with such finesse. I mean, how bizarre can a political party be? You know, it's not me or Arnab Goswami which runs this government. The government is being run by the Congress party. In normal discourse, the government is supposed to set policies.
Right.
Every citizen is supposed to either follow those policies or is violative of the law. So I don't set the policies, neither do you, nor does Majid. The policies are set by a government. So now, this is the first case I've heard of a self-divorce. You're not divorcing the political party, you're divorcing yourself, saying, look, I have nothing to do. I mean, Arnab, how shameful can a political party be that it chooses expediency before electoral politics in order to put forth such a devious point of view? The reality is as follows. The reality is that we have an absent Prime Minister. We have a very encouraged, aspiring Prime Minister from the same party. We have a government that is fighting itself, either because of its allies or for whatever. There are good people in this government, let there be no doubt. But there are people who are fighting with each other.
No, but the government says, Sohail, that we are on the corporate side. Sohail, the government says, Sohail, that we are on your side.
No.
Anand Sharma says, I'm worried. Digvijay Singh says that, you know, institutions are not doing the right thing, so they are saying that we are on your side.
Remember, I don't know how many books the Congress party amongst itself reads, but you have to read Sun Tzu and the Art of War. You always use a borrowed knife to kill your enemy. The reality is, this is all a paradigm shift of facetiousness. This is these four ministers who will walk out into the sunlight and say, hey, we didn't have anything to do. All I'm asking you, Arnab, is there anyone running this country other than the Supreme Court?
Well,
A. B. Is it the Supreme Court, with due respect to them, is it the Supreme Court's job to run a country? Is it the CBI's job to create interpretative crimes? It is the same CBI, which is brilliant, which hasn't been able to solve the Talwar case. It's the same CBI which allows Mulayam Singh and Mayawati, the two beacons of honesty and probity and transparency in our country, to go scot-free. Who in this country will you trust? If you don't trust a Manmohan Singh, you don't trust a CBI, you don't trust Corporate India, you don't trust regulators. This is the same Congress party which besmirched the CAG.
I'm only playing devil's advocate tonight. I'm playing devil's advocate, and by playing devil's advocate, the question will be that the CBI director has himself...
You can't even trust the devil in this country.
No, 1 second. The CBI says, I am being independent. The BJP, for example, Siddharth Singh has come on in numerous times now, Newshour debates, in which he says we want an independent CBI. Now, if the CBI is acting despite the criticism from the government...
The BJP and the Congress...
1 second. Let's give the benefit of doubt, please,
The BJP and the Congress, Arnab, the BJP and the Congress, to my mind, are fighting a political battle. I'm trying to fight or understand a policy issue. That's the only difference. Let them fight their battles. This will not affect the intellectual caliber or
One second. Siddharth, no, 1 second. Siddharth, what about the fact that the government says we are criticizing the CBI, we are actually not acting in the defense of the CBI. We are unhappy with the CBI. Does that not tell you that perhaps there is a breakup? I'm only playing devil's advocate, not that I believe this, but yes. Maybe there's a CBI government breakup.
Arnab, we just had a very recent case where two political parties coming from Uttar Pradesh, they were given a clean chit despite Supreme Court and the CBI also saying we have enough material. So I don't think that is the truth. But let me also add here that in this case, the conspiracy which has been hatched is again a government role, because they knew that the whistleblower will become a witness as the case proceeds in the Supreme Court. And once he becomes a witness, the fingers will start pointing to the Prime Minister. They needed to save the Prime Minister or protect the Prime Minister. So what they have done is the witness, he's been made into an accused, and in that process they have dragged an industrialist also. So there are a number of examples where CBI has been used directly or indirectly by the government to protect their own people.
So what you're saying is that the government was fixing Parekh through the CBI. Are you saying that? Are you saying the government was fixing Parekh through the CBI?
Absolutely right, because they wanted to protect. They wanted to protect the Prime Minister, because Parekh was going to be the witness as a whistleblower, and Prime Minister would have been dragged by the Supreme Court also.
So before Parekh dragged in the Prime Minister, they got Parekh fixed.
So by that logic, am I hearing from you, Siddharth Nath Singh, that you're already presuming
so he is now an
Kumar
accused.
1 minute.
Why do you trust
are you actually inferring on national television you're holding Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla guilty? Is that what you're trying to convey? I think it's absolutely blasphemous what you're saying. This is nothing but a CBI FIR report. This is not prosecution. This is not a charge sheet. Please, 1 minute. 1 minute. The Congress party is not interfering. The UPA is not interfering at all on a Supreme Court monitored independent CBI investigation. I have repeated this for the third or the fourth time. And one more point that I need to tell you, that please let us not be so sacrosanct as to believe that the CBI does not have a right to question individuals, whoever they are. And everyone has a right to defend themselves in court as and when if they are charge sheeted or prosecuted.
Sohail wants to come back. Yeah. Sohail's giving a quick counter.
And I think this government has been more business friendly than any government in India's parliamentary history.
All I'm saying, Arnab, is that industry is already despondent for various reasons. Some fault of the government, some not the fault of the government. Industry wants to have two things. One, there is consistency of policy, and two, there is consistency of rule of law. You saw what Pranab Mukherjee did with Vodafone in retrospective taxation. In this country, when you're mediocre, you get a promotion. But we'll come to that later. My main question to you, Arnab, today is, you are in the business of dissemination. Dissemination is more about perception, less about reality, in more cases than one. Today, we've created a perception of a banana republic where the rule of law can be violated. Please understand, and I want both the political parties to explain this to me. 1 minute. You and I don't make policies. Policies are made by governments. Industrialists or industry either adheres or doesn't adhere. To blame Parekh or to blame only Manmohan Singh would also be unfair and silly. What you have to do is you have to blame the collective shallowness of intellect.
And where is corporate India in that collective shallowness? 1 second, Prasenjit, where is corporate India in that collective shallowness?
Many crooks. Corporate India, let me tell you, Arnab Goswami, today,
Mr. Sohail said,
India has many crooks.
Mr. Sohail said, unfortunately,
India has many rogues who need to go to jail.
No, 1 second.
But Jignesh Shah will walk free, and you will besmirch an industrialist against whom you've proven nothing. That is my limited point.
Prasenjit, interesting argument here. Corporate India is almost blameless. Now, I don't know if it is one thing to be talking about investor confidence and sentiment, but corporate India should corporate India, Prasenjit, should also reflect on the fact of what happened in 2G and coal. I mean, the principal cases, various industrial houses are in the dock. What does that indicate? That their actions also are not entirely above board. Today, the Supreme Court, while directing the CBI in the Neeradia tapes case, said, and I quote, "Prima facie, there is a deep-rooted malice by private enterprises in connivance with government officials, and Neeradia's conversations suggest that influential persons indulge in corrupt practices for private gains for extraneous purposes." So, the point today is this. Let corporate India not suddenly turn into, an angel of virtue. It has been part of this whole system of crony capitalism. Prasenjit.
Absolutely.
Prasenjit.
They have been the biggest beneficiaries of it.
And they've been the beneficiaries. So basically what he's saying is, you've been the beneficiaries, don't complain too much. Prasenjit.
It's a systemic
Prasenjit.
We'll come to
I have three quick points to make. First of all, I think that what we have been witnessing in this country over the past, I think over a decade now, but which has started getting exposed over the past 3-4 years, thanks to the CAG, to the Supreme Court's intervention, etc., is a brazen loot of our natural resources, from airwaves to iron ore to coal to natural gas to all kinds of natural resources. Now we on the left have been maintaining that this is an outcome of a nexus between sections of the big corporates, sections of the top bureaucracy, and sections of the top politicians.
Yeah.
Now, in this particular case, I think that those who want to convert this country into a banana republic, into a plutocracy, are giving an argument that some industrialists are above law, they cannot be touched. If there is
who's saying that?
The fact that this is a democracy, that everybody is equal in the eyes of the law, and the law should be allowed to run its course. This is a Supreme Court monitored probe, and therefore I don't think there is any point in claiming that just because somebody is an industrialist, there cannot be any criminal investigation against that person. However, I think the biggest problem with this particular FIR, and I think that various people have pointed it out, is the fact that in this nexus between big business, politician and big corporates, where is the politician? And we all know that the way the system functions in our country, any allocation, be it in the 2G case, in this particular case where coal blocks have been given in, for a song to all these big corporates. Now this could not have happened without political patronage. Now it is, I think, the allegation that is coming from various quarters that the political executive at the highest level has to take responsibility, I think is a very legitimate point.
No, but where is
the reason why?
Where is the political executive doing that? Prasenjit, 1 minute.
Yeah,
let's put that to
the whole point. That is the whole point.
Today what's happening?
Let me allow to finish.
Okay,
just one more sentence I want to say.
Go ahead.
I think in this particular case, the political executive involved, the political leader involved is the Prime Minister of this country. Now, frankly, I think the Prime Minister should resign in this kind of a case. This is a complete meltdown of governance that we have witnessed in case after case. This government has lost all credibility, and I think in the eyes of a large section of our people today, this government has absolutely, nobody believes in what this government says. And you see this complete laughable spectacle today, where Minister from this Congress party is coming and defending the corporates and blaming the CBI. I mean, what is going on? This is a complete...
No, one second. Therefore, my question to Majid Memon is that, Mr. Majid Memon, we have two options. Right? We can take a high moral ground and say, what's happening is very bad. Or I can ask you, you're a representative of the NCP, you're also a lawyer. Tell me, why don't parties like yours, individuals like you, take a principled position and say there must be some responsibility of the political executive? When in a particular contract something goes wrong, then Praful Patel writes a letter to A.K. Antony, right? But in the case of the coal scam, when the whole country is asking whether the Prime Minister will take responsibility, why is Sharad Pawar or Praful Patel not picking it up, or Majid Memon going open about it today? What is holding you back, Mr. Memon?
No, see, Arnab, we must understand that if we look at this debate, this question that you have raised, if you look at it from political glasses, you will land somewhere else. If you look at it from legal glasses, you would probably have different conclusions. Now, let me make it very clear that those who are saying that politicians are never being seen in these criminal activities and they are somehow protected by vested interests by the government or by the Congress, I think they are not wholly right, for this reason that even in this coal block controversies, we have been seeing for the past almost 6 months that there have been 14 FIRs already registered. The investigation is going on, where the names of a Congress MP, the name of a former coal minister, they are featuring, and it is being investigated. CBI might take a little time. One can always make a grievance that why it is doing so slow. yet it is doing something. Now, Kumaramangalam's name came, and for the last 24 hours or more than that, probably 48 hours now, that there has been outrageous debate, and we have heard Mr. Sharma, and there is a counter allegation by the BJP, etc. I am only wanting to convey this, Arnav, through your medium, that look, you can't just have a blanket perception about the
no, there's no blanket perception.
World.
No,
see,
Majid Mehman.
World, therefore, correct. Now, one minute, just give me one more minute. See, corporate people have done great service to the country.
Sir,
they have contributed a great deal.
Sir, this is not about that.
This country, both in terms of finance, in terms of business. So, therefore, we must have some respect for them.
Sir, you're not taking up
them as the law presumes them
please.
to be innocent.
But they don't have
now,
the
Birla's case, I must tell
one
you.
second. I think you are hedging, sir. I think you are hedging. You didn't answer my question. Siddharth wants to come back. Yes, Siddharth.
Arnav.
Yeah.
Arnav, I just wanted to correct Mr. Menon that CBI has been very selective in filing FIRs and all, and Mr. Menon and Congress have been screaming that look what we did with Darda, Vijay Darda, we have done with Naveen Jindal. But let's come on to their case itself. When AMR, when Manoj Jaiswal had written a letter to his father, there is an arbitrator who's mentioned, who's nobody but Jaiprakash Jaiswal. Now Vijay Darda on the same case has been questioned, an FIR has been filed against him, but the CBI very cleverly leaves out Shri Prakash Jaiswal. Now here again what we see is the man who signs the file. In the case of Hindalco and the coal secretary, they both have been dragged in, but the Prime Minister has been left. So the CBI has been very, very selective in while dealing in this investigation. The charge remains that the government, the CBI has been protecting those who...
Mr. Siddharth not saying, 1 minute, I think you're forgetting the gentleman by the name of Ajay Sancheti. Okay, you're forgetting a name of a gentleman by the name of Ajay Sancheti, whose association with Mr. Nitin Gadkari is legendary, and we all know that in the CAG report...
I'm not interested in this. I'm not interested in your mutual blame.
In the CAG report on Chhattisgarh, it directly mentions the loss created by your BJP government.
It is your CBI,
Why are you forgetting the role of Mr. Arjun Munda, who as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand...
I don't forget, it's your government. You want to do anything, you please go ahead and do it. We have been facing the brunt. When you wanted to go after people in Gujarat, you brought CBI and Intelligence Bureau eye to eye. You created where the intelligence...
By the way, I don't think you know your rules. The CBI can only go to Gujarat on the invitation of the state government or by Supreme Court.
One minute, gentlemen. You know why we are debating this today? 1 minute, please, let's not lose track.
I don't think we are not debating for promoting crony capitalism in this country.
1 second. We are debating this today because broadly, what is the impact all of this has had on our economy?
Sure.
Digvijay Singh says, yes, we are importing coal to feed our thermal power plant. You see, today, yes, the Prime Minister of India is remembered for reforms. I am asking a question today. We are in a situation where the Indian economy is suffering because we are having to import coal. This is not just about Parekh or the Prime Minister or Jaiswal or anybody else. It's about who landed us in this unholy mess. And if the Supreme Court has had to intervene and if investor confidence has been hit because of it, it is only and solely because of acts of commission or omission by the government that invited an investigation in the first place. Why don't, and in all of this, where is the responsibility of the Prime Minister?
Let me answer.
1 minute. Prasenjit is also wanting to come in. Before that, Sohail wants to come in. Yes, Sohail.
I just want to make one point.
Sohail.
Yeah.
I just want to say 3-4 things. I completely agree with the initial comments that Prasenjit made, which were that there are and should be no holy angels and that corporate India has enough rogues within them, which they do. My point is lock them up, don't open the doors. But the problem is some court will release these jokers because they have high-profile lawyers. It happens. Number one. Number two.
No, 1 minute, Sohail. Sohail, I want to counter you there. I want to counter you there. In the 2G case, you said lock them up. In the 2G case, Salman Khurshid, no less, he spoke about what impact locking up businessmen will have on investor confidence. So you see...
That Sanjay Jha and Salman Khurshid should defend each other. I'm not Salman Khurshid's spokesman, nor am I the Congress spokesman.
The
if Salman has said it, it's a silly comment to make.
Khurshid was saying
did anybody from corporate India come and say what Salman Khurshid said was wrong?
Or no, you bring in the moment in an intelligent conversation you bring in politics, you will reduce its IQ by millions.
Is Colgate divorced of politics, Sohail?
The point that you made is very
Colgate
valid.
divorced of politics?
No, the point you made is very valid. No, you've asked a more important question. This country sits on the world's second largest reserves of bauxite. It has mineable coal, which will make us fuel and energy efficient and sufficient. Today, we have created a plethora of policy flip-flops. We've created a fear psychosis. And rightly or wrongly, the Supreme Court believes that it is in its interest to monitor even coal allocations like it cancelled telecom licenses. What do? The point is people have made investments. Industry makes investments. People from abroad.
So what about the process?
For two reasons.
Sohail, 1 minute.
I want to come in here.
Sohail, one second. You're getting a counter from Prasenjit. I'm allowing it. Prasenjit, yes. Prasenjit is countering you. I'll come back to you. Prasenjit.
No, I think that there are 2-3 things. I think that first of all, the Supreme Court has been forced to intervene. I think
Exactly.
The Supreme Court obviously does not like to make policies
Correct.
or to frame policies.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying because of policy.
Absolutely. Well said.
On natural resources. The Supreme Court has been forced because there has been a systemic meltdown. And I don't think that it is
Absolutely.
the corporates are blaming the politicians are blaming the corporates. The fact of the matter is the sections of corporates, sections of politicians, both are culpable. Please accept that.
No.
Number 2, as far as the coal and bauxite is concerned, let me tell you, all these big corporate houses, including, I don't know whether Mr. Birla is culpable or not. It is for the court to decide, the Supreme Court to decide. But I am, as an economist, I can tell you, what has Hindalco been doing sitting all these years over those coal reserves? All these big companies, they have been allocated these coal blocks.
Answer that, Sanjay.
They have not produced one
Answer that.
kilogram of coal.
Answer that,
Prasenjit, I'll give you a very simple answer.
No, I think I think Prasenjit has gone spot on because he's asking a question everyone's asking.
Prasenjit,
let me answer. Can I answer you very quickly,
I always love debating with Prasenjit. But remember one golden rule: the left is not always right. The left is not always right.
Prasenjit,
let him blocks that Prasenjit rightly talks about. Hear me out. The coal allocation or the coal blocks that Prasenjit talks about in this particular case, from what I've read in newspapers like the Times of India, I've been told that the physical allocation of coal hasn't been made. So whether they will produce power out of air is only PC Sarkar, Prasenjit and I figure out.
Sohail, can we...
Let me agree with Prasenjit. Let me agree with Prasenjit.
Counter.
That is the whole point.
Let's not bring this debate that industrialization or making
because I'm not a politician, you don't allow me to finish.
How can corporate India wash its hands of the responsibility of this mess?
Of course.
As much
blame them.
Both the big corporates and the politicians, both of them have corrupted our system, and you please take responsibility for that.
Let's Sohail counter.
I just want to make
I'm saying if you find a crook, hang him. I'll only make one point. This country's government has outsourced its governance to the Supreme Court. Why don't we and shut down the government?
So a layman question. Take a layman question from me. Take a layman question. Neither am I a left-leaning economist.
I'm saying it's
1 minute, please. Neither am I a left-leaning economist, nor am I a congressman, nor am I an NCP lawyer, or am I a corporate voice. I'm just asking a simple question. There are 1,950 applications which were found ineligible. As the Supreme Court said, why they were found ineligible is anybody's guess. I am only asking a simple question. I put this question to Siddharth Majid, and I'll come to you, Sohail. Are we sure that all those 1,950 people, Sohail, I want your attention on this one, was not Kumaramangalam Birla? See, Kumaramangalam Birla can go knocking on the Prime Minister's door and say, I was treated unfairly, I want to be brought back into the game, and the Prime Minister calls the Coal Secretary opens the file, he's back in the game. The rest of those 1,950 applicants could have been deserving entrepreneurs, 10% of them. They could have done the business, they would have done an honest job, they would have dug the mines, they would have contributed to our economy. They may not be the big corporates of our country, but they would have encouraged, we would not be importing coal today if we had genuine applicants. That's my question, Siddharth.
Absolutely.
What's happening to entrepreneurship, deserving people in our country? That's what Colgate is about.
They've got a great entrepreneur in the BJP.
No, of course,
The issue is, Arnab, let me answer, Arnab. The issue is what the government has done in last 10 years, the growth story which was widely being spoken, whether it was telecom, road sector, aviation or coal or whatever it is. This government has brought in a kind of a policy, not only policy paralysis, but before that, a crony capitalism. And let me give you some example. When a cabinet note on the request of a DMK can be changed to suit a political party, for example, in 2G, the finance ministry will not be involved in deciding the prices of the 2G. That kind of decisions can be taken by the Prime Minister. You can well understand how the crony capitalism is going to grow in this country. And because of that, we have been led into one after the other, a kind of a scam, and then which leads other institutions, for example, CAG and others, questioning the government, and the Supreme Court stepping in. We have brought a situation where there is a policy paralysis, and now the agency, which is the supreme agency to investigate, is
so crony capitalism is a UPA invention.
To protect their ministers.
So crony capitalism is a UPA invention, according to Siddharth Nath Singh. Crony capitalism is a UPA invention.
Yes,
I want to.
Well, I will not say that. It has been promoted highly. No,
you promoted it a little less.
It has been there earlier. Let me be honest.
Promoted it a little less.
It has been there earlier also, but it has been promoted and pushed.
Okay, so yeah,
largely under the UPA too.
So 1 minute. So counter. Prasenjit. Prasenjit first.
Okay. Yeah, I want to state one thing very clearly. All these policies, the first come, first served basis policy of allocating spectrum in 2G, the policy of allocating coal blocks without auctioning, all these were in place during the NDA's time also. So the BJP cannot claim any high moral ground. And I would like to...
Prasenjit, you are an economist. Sorry, Mr. Prasenjit. You are an economist and you must understand there is a demand and supply. If the supply is more, you don't need to auction it. Once the supply slows down and the demand is more, you need to auction it. That is a simple economics which perhaps the left doesn't want to understand.
The Supreme Court, by the way, the Supreme Court has stated,
you understand demand and supply, you'll get the answer, Mr. Prasenjit.
Way to price natural resources. The government has the flexibility to choose FCFS, auction or any other third method. So let me tell you I'll accept that.
You see, this government, your problem with your government is
the pricing of natural resources has been a challenge.
Problem with your government, with due respect, is you will blame everyone, including the fly on the wall, for policy paralysis. You will blame the media, you will blame the courts, you will blame the CAG, you will never blame yourself.
Pakistan.
What? Not yet Pakistan, Sohail. Not yet Pakistan. But my question is to Majid Memon. Mr. Memon, why have...
I think as a government, we would not have delivered the way we have done in terms of a growth.
Mr. Memon, why have you never complained? Have you been aware of this problem as a participating member in the UPA alliance? And why have you never complained? Why have you gone along with this, you know? When a contract is particularly given for... With all this, with Colgate, you never complained. Were you not aware?
See.
Why will they?
First, now let us understand. I have been hearing you are very enthusiastic, participants talking a lot about the policy making. Let me make it very clear broadly without provoking anybody. Please don't lose your tempers and hear me patiently if you could have a bit of patience. Policy making is the prerogative of the government. If the government has proved itself to be ineffective, useless, dump it. Every 5 years, that is what the system of our democracy says. So therefore, to say that while Supreme Court must put its hand into every policy, start correcting, mind you, a welfare state like ours, every policy, whether it is coal, spectrum or anything else, use of natural resources, 1 minute, is not, the first priority is not money making.
Mr. Memon, I'm sorry.
It's not always so.
Mr. Memon, I'm very sorry.
If certain policies are not giving priority to making more money, not just jump to conclusion that there's something wrong.
There's no jumping to conclusion.
Therefore, you see...
Mr. Memon, Mr. Memon, you know, one second. Mr. Memon, 1 minute. Mr. Memon, in this particular case, illegal and improper methods without any uniform policy or patterns have been executed to carry out the Colgate scam. So this is not anybody's whim and fancy, you see.
No, I appreciate. Give me 1 minute.
So are you saying?
Answer your question, Arnav. To your satisfaction, I'll answer. Arnav, you have said earlier that 1950 applicants were unjustly denied to do their business only to favor.
I don't know, unjustly, not given an opportunity. Others were.
Answer to this. No, correct, that's right. Now, but I would answer this, that this is precisely the job which CBI is expected to do now. The CBI, after registration of first information report, is expected to absolutely affected by either BJP or Congress. When you are performing a duty to law, then the CBI is expected to go to the bottom of the truth and find out that how those 1950 applicants were denied.
Yeah, but then by that logic, Mr. Majid Memon, Mr. Majid Memon, it is like you're saying we should all walk on water and walk over fire, burning coals and come out unscathed and undrowned. It's an ideal situation. It's not going to happen. I let Sohail counter you before we wrap up. 2 minutes left on the debate. I think what Mr. Memon is presenting is an ideal situation. Yes.
I think on Times Now tonight, which is October the 17th, we must salute the clean, honest people across governments. There was a gentleman called Pramod Mahajan in the BJP who never supported crony capitalism, squeaky clean. He showed us the way for honesty and transparency. In this government, we've had people like A. Raja who not only walked on water, they've even walked on spectrum. They've told us about honesty and good virtues. The NCP is filled with leaders who walked on water, on sea links, on boats. So we've got a political system where it's a large Turkish bath without towels. Is hammam mein sab nange hain. So, whatever the gentleman representing the Congress's name is, he's right. Don't point fingers.
Have you seen his tenure as a minister, communication minister?
I'm saying, obviously you don't understand a word like sarcasm, but you're a lawyer, you wouldn't. So the point I'm trying to make, Majid, if you allow me to finish, this is not Parliament or a state legislature. Hear me out. I'm not joining Arvind Kejriwal. Don't make this facetious comment. Don't
everybody with the same paint.
Don't make a facetious.
Those who are honest.
But let me tell you on a critical point.
1 minute.
No,
1 minute. Let me finish.
Okay.
The point is,
okay, we have 30 seconds left.
Not at all. I think the great point today is there is a political systemic rot which doesn't belong to any one political dispensation. The only way we will solve this is, as the courts have shown, through court-interrupted activity. But Arnav, let me tell you, that is not the way to run a country. And I will finally end by saying, if you want to protect the little shred of respect that Brand India has, we need to bring closure to the various FIRs filed. Either hold people guilty or hold people innocent, but don't linger the process. That's my limited point.
Now, gentlemen, this debate will
let the Supreme Court decide that.
Let the Supreme Court decide that. I think nobody's saying anyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nobody's saying anyone squeaky clean. The only question tonight, once again, is it only Mr. Parekh or only Mangalam Birla who are responsible for this mess? Did no politician know? Did no politician have a hand? Did no politician execute? Well, the CBI wants us to think so. The question is, do you believe the CBI? I thank all my panelists for joining me on debate number 2. This debate will not end this Thursday evening. See you on the other side of the break.